Hey, Coach. I'm so happy you found us on YouTube. That's super exciting. Let me know how I can help you become a better basketball coach. Leave comments down below. Anything that you would like to see moving forward. We are here, definitely here to help. That's the first thing. Second thing is make sure you subscribe down below. That way you'll get all the updates, everything we put out there as far as becoming a basketball coach. And the third thing is if you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for someone to help you through this great journey we call basketball coaching, check out teachhoops.com. It's going to be one of these corners or down below. 14-day free trial. It's a great resource for you as a coach. So enjoy the video. Thanks.
All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged. Now, Coach, I went to school out east. I'm going to have you introduce yourself and just give a little bit of background of, kind of your journey, how we kind of got connected, that you're a high school coach, and then we'll dive into some other questions, and then we'll kind of end with talking about your book, because I'm excited to hear about that. But so just introduce yourself to the people that are listening, kind of give a background of your basketball journey is what I say.
So my name is Mark Skelton. I'm head coach at Fannie Lou Hamer Freedom High School. We're located in the Bronx. I've been coaching there for 13 years. I've been teaching there for 16 years. My journey starts like most guys in the East Coast. We grew up watching the Celtics. And
I was a Laker guy. I'm sorry. I was a Laker guy in the 80s.
That's okay. We'll forgive you. But there's but that rivalry is a great introduction into what sports is all about. I mean, you have some great players from, not just on the Celtics, but also on the Lakers. But then you can't forget about the 76ers teams, and obviously the Rockets and the Mavs, so many great teams. And I know everybody thinks the 80s was just the Celtics. But again, I just remember the great series with even the Hawks.
Oh, geez. I remember the Hawks. I remember I remember Detroit. I remember the Lakers. It's like it was one of those things for people listening that are a little bit younger. You had to pick one. Either in the 80s, you either had to like the Celtics or you had to like the Lakers.
No, it was black and white. It was east to west. It wasn't in between. Absolutely. So that was my formation, and that's kind of cemented the way I kind of like thought about basketball. And as I played and after I stopped playing and then I started coaching, there was this idea of team basketball actually wins, and it's actually prettier to watch than one guy shooting 40 times.
It is.
Right? And that's now I just have this bias, and it's ingrained. So I mean,
give me a little bit. First of all, Boston is one of my favorite cities in the country, personally.
I don't live there anymore, and
I know you live in New York. It's right. Different. I tell people Boston and New York are not the same. But I love Boston. I love New York too. I was just in New York this last summer because my brother got a place and stuff. I love New York. But anyway, so explain what it's like to coach in a city the size of New York. Is it hard to find gym space? Is it hard to find those kind of things?
No, I think what I remember talking to a coach from Wyoming, and he had to travel, 3, 4, 5 hours, and he only had maybe 10 teams in his district.
Okay.
We have just in the way the public school athletic league is divided, it's basically small, medium, and large.
Okay.
And in the large schools, you have about 30, 35 schools. And then in the medium schools, you have over 100. And then in the small schools, you have about 120 schools. And that's just in the public league in the city. So it's very easy to find a game. On any given night, there's hundreds of games going on. And it doesn't, and for your listeners, it's probably hard to imagine that we're up in the Bronx, but to travel to Coney Island or travel to the Far Rockaways, that's about almost an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, or usually. But we're on the subway, and we take the subway and the buses to our games. There's no yellow bus.
Do you get the guys together and you take the subway to a game?
Yeah, we have Metro cards, and we swipe, and we get on the bus, and that's probably one of the you think about. You can imagine across the country, and especially the NBA, like when you watch the guys get off the bus, we're on a crowded bus with commuters and everybody else going home at 4:30. And it's tough to get 12 guys on a crowded bus sometimes.
Oh, and to be honest with you, that I don't know if that's I mean, it's a unique experience, but it's like I just think about the bonding that our guys have on the buses that we take, to our games. They're 45 minutes away. They get on a bus, they spend time
Right.
together. Not that you guys aren't, but there's more of a stress level, I would think, from you to make sure
Oh,
everybody gets
100%.
on the bus.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So how big are the gyms that you play in?
Some are probably about as big as your bathroom, and, and others on a rare occasion are almost regular sized.
Okay.
High school, but New York City gyms, for whatever reason, whoever the genius architect was 100 years ago, um, must have passed down the floor plans, because even the new schools that are being built are tiny. So actually, every gym that we play in is really just a place you just want to develop a nice, full court press, because if you can press in the city, you'll win games.
Right. And are there fans? I mean, are there a lot of fans that come to these games?
Absolutely. I mean, I got to tell you the truth though. There are some gyms that we've had problems in, and you can play in front of nobody.
Right.
There'll be just a security guard, but that's rare. Most of the time, there's fans and there's teachers, and for us, we've established, we get a good fan base, and the alumni come in, but there's not a whole lot of space.
Right.
Sometimes
That's what I'm saying. The way you're describing this right now, it's like, holy cow. It's like, where do they sit? Where do they like?
they stand, they sit on top of each
And
other.
so,
Yeah.
so explain. So in the 5 boroughs, there's probably how many schools?
Well, just in the public league, there's over 200.
Okay. And then how does that work once tournament comes? Do you leave?
So yeah, we just play in our school size,
Okay.
and that's, this year 55 teams made it, to qualify for the playoffs. You just need a 500 record.
Okay.
So it's almost as big as as the NCAA Division One tournament.
Right.
And so 55 teams make it. The first 8, 9, 10 teams get a bye, and now we're playing. So,
And then what happens is, do you play it? Where's the championship?
this year it's usually at a local college.
Okay.
Last year it was at St. John's.
Okay.
The bigger schools do play at Madison Square Garden, so they
The big schools do.
Yeah,
Oh,
they get some preferential treatment.
They do. That's
Mhm.
funny. That's very unique. I mean, I've always thought that when I visited New York. It's like, okay, because it's like our kids will go outside and play, or they'll find, it's like there's just not. I'm guessing there's gym, there's courts. I've seen courts, but it's like space is so limited that it's not even like Boston where you kind of like there's just more space.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
Hundreds of gyms. I just there's this space available.
Yeah. So tell me about your coaching philosophy. You kind of did initially, but tell me about kind of how you coach or your philosophy.
So usually I get guys that have played before, but that you can imagine a freshman walking in who's may not have played on a team. If he did, maybe they played 8 games.
Right.
So we don't have a JV. The school's about 450 kids, so I have to kind of grab 2 or 3 freshmen each year and mold them, and that's kind of the makeup of our team is out of the freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, I take 2 or 3 of each, and that kind of makes my varsity team.
Right.
So teaching becomes a 4-year trajectory. I'm not asking the freshmen to compete, or they'll get on the court when we're up by a lot, but their their classroom is they're in practice.
Right. And they're
So
physically, what I've noticed about freshmen, most freshmen are not physically ready, even if they have some skills. It's
right.
The difference between a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old is crazy physically. Yeah.
Right. And then the mental part is the idea that, like, okay, you're going to play from early October to the end of March. And they've never made this sacrifice. So they really can't predict what their body and what their mind's going to do in the middle of January. They just want to quit.
Right.
And they'll get a girlfriend, they'll get an injury, they're not playing. And it's
the freshman or sophomore wall, they all hit it. It's the first time they're on varsity, they all hit that wall when they're not used to it.
And as a coach, you try to predict it, you try to help them overcome it, but it's very difficult.
It is. So explain how you practice. When do you practice? How do you set up practice? Is it an issue with gym? Anything like
Yeah,
that?
I share the gym with the girls team.
Okay.
And we have and practice can range from 2 hours to an hour and a half. We practice 6 days a week in the beginning. We have Saturdays off. Sundays practices can go a little bit longer, but that usually introduces film into the practice.
Okay.
Um, but no, I think the intensity in the beginning of the season, um, and I think we just develop our full court press, our man-to-man defense and offense. But we see so much zone in the city, and so
Really?
much, yeah, and so much pressure that it's really important for us to develop, abilities to move the ball. So passing and catching and cutting, probably a high on the agenda. It's not
Okay.
so much dribbling, right? Because I don't want guys dribbling into traps.
Right. Kids over dribble. It's the first thing they learn how to do.
Mhm.
Do you most of your kids live within like really close, or do they have to spend 30 minutes on the subway to get to school?
30 minutes sounds about right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a few kids can walk, but everybody takes the train or the bus.
The
And I
train or the
myself,
bus to get there. But I'm just saying they're not like hours on the subway. They're not
no, everybody's in the Bronx. Yeah.
Everybody's in the Bronx. That's what I was asking. Yeah. Everybody's in the Bronx. So that's good for practice. What do you think the hardest thing to teach is?
Oh, without a doubt, it's the helper.
Yeah.
On defense, and that could be in any man or zone, is the ability to just, what's the other guy doing when someone else leaves his man, and that just creates all sorts of problems
Right.
on recovery, on rebounding, and then and so usually, I mean, the upperclassmen get it, but I mentioned freshmen earlier. It takes them a long time, and obviously I'd like them to watch more basketball. I mean, it's a
Right.
coach's complaint.
Yeah. And if you watch Virginia, I was at the Final Four. Virginia and Texas Tech were prime examples of it. But it's not only the first rotation; it's the second and third rotation that I find
Yeah.
so hard to get. It's like
Mhm.
they'll stop the ball, but
Yeah.
it's that second or third rotation that's really hard. Um, if you could only do three things at practice, what would you do?
I would shoot, probably shoot, and probably shoot some more. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm dead
No,
serious.
I
No,
mean,
you're not
yeah,
the first
no,
one to say that. Some people said shoot, shoot, shoot. It gets lost in practice.
yeah,
It does. I don't know why. And I've done this for 30 years. It's one of those
yeah,
skills that just it gets
yeah.
lost. It gets lost because we're all worried about other things.
Hmm. No, and obviously we want our players to get better, we want our team to get better, and that balance gets lost throughout the season. And that's what I always talk about, like, the singular player versus the plural team. It's such a hard balance, but you know, what I love for guys to get better at it though is the ability to compete and the intensity and to hold on to that, and just this small desire to get better. And it could be free throw shooting, it could be, obviously 3-point shooting, but it's also finishing. And so there's different components to shooting.
Right. Yeah. It's the contact and the unpredictability. I just remember when I grew up, it's like they taught you to shoot a layup one way. Well, that's you shoot that layup like 5% of the time that way.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
you have to throw
I
the other
mean,
side of the
yeah,
rim. Yeah,
right. No,
you're always
absolutely. I
having to
mean,
do other things. Let's think back. Okay, so I love this question. Can you think of one coaching moment that we could dive into that the audience could learn from?
from my own
Yeah,
perspective, or from
from you that you've learned. So some coaching moment that you've had that the audience would love that we could learn from, something that's happened to you along the route of coaching as long as you have.
well, I think what happened it's 2012. We were one of the top teams in the city. We had our first round game at home against a team that was 500. I went to go scout them, and I walked out of the gym like, well, we're going to win this game by 40, and we ended up losing at the buzzer. And I think my arrogance, when I was running practice the next 2 days, infiltrated my team. And so that overconfidence actually just, you know, is so contagious.
It is.
But it's such a fine line because you want your team play out during the playoffs to have ultimate confidence, but also you want them to have a little bit of fear. And and
Yeah,
so
it's. I think you stated that in such a great way that no one's really done it, because you're right. It's such a fine line between being tight and fearful that you're going to lose and it's going to be
right.
over, but
Mhm.
also being confident. Like Virginia was a prime example. They were scared at the beginning. If you watch that first half of whoever they played in the first round, they were down like
Mhm.
15 because they were scared. They were tight.
Right.
Luckily they had the right coach to get them out of that. But
Right.
yeah, you stated that in a great way. That the difference, there's that fine line between confidence and fear come
And
tournament
each
time.
and each team is very different. And I'm like, and obviously we've had some great success in the playoffs the last couple of years. But and you kind of have to reinvent that because some of the older guys have know that I may just be full of it. It's like, oh, coach, we're gonna win, we're gonna beat this team, and and you can't really tell guys that no, they actually could beat us, and then
Right.
you go up and beat them by 40, and you know that it's an old saw, and they can see it. So
It is. It's like, and what I tell my guys is that I'm never going to lie to you. What I tell them, it's like, I'm not going to lie to you. You're better than this team. But then I put the but in. But if you don't execute, you have a possibility of losing. It's like, well, this team's as good as you, if not better than you. I try. You're right, because they can read when you're BSing them very
yeah,
easily.
100%, right? Yeah, you got to be truthful.
Right. You got to be truthful. What's one thing you've learned in the last 6 months that's made you a better coach?
I think actually once the season ends, to really just move away from basketball. And then coaches probably, especially now, they're getting ready for the next season. And if coaches listen to this in the off season, take some time off. It's
Yeah.
really important to physically, mentally, not just to be with your family, but kind of be by yourself and kind of build up yourself and your own, I think, mental. Not that the season's full of trauma, but there are things that you're disappointed in, even if you won a championship. That things didn't go the way you wanted during the season, and it's important to kind of just rest.
Yeah. My rule is a month. Like we're basically a little bit more than a month out. I'm just starting to rev back up.
Perfect. Me too.
I take my wife somewhere for spring break. That's part of the deal. And then and not that I'm not doing basketball stuff, and I'm checking in with the guys and stuff, but there's been no meetings. There's been no like that kind of stuff. It's because if I don't, it's like that's the only ways. First of all, for the young coaches that are listening to this, the only way you're going to be able to do it for the long haul. If you don't shut down for some stretch, you're going to burn out. You have to. Give me one fundamental drill that you think is great that coaches might like to hear about.
It's a really simple drill. Let's go with shooting. I stole it from Mike Maker, who coached at Marist and coached at Williams College for a long time. It's just you stand on the box and you just kind of raise your elbow and you just shoot it off the glass.
Okay.
And it just becomes this form shooting, but at a different angle, but just using the backboard. And I always feel it's a great drill to warm up, and you just see how many you can make in a row.
Right. I always use the analogy with golfing. Like I tell if any one of my players walks in the gym, you'll see them warm up the same way. They warm up close. We call them perfect shots, where they don't hit the rim. Because I go watch Tiger. He's not putting 35 footers when he walks on the putting green. He's putting like 3 footers. Then he works his way out. So yeah, I love that. That's a great thing. Let's see. What would you tell a young coach? Like a young coach is listening to this, other than take some time off?
Well, it's the toughest job you'll ever love, and I was in the Peace Corps, but I'm stealing it from them. That it's so rewarding, but when you're starting out, you don't see the reward because you've planted some seeds, excuse me, in some young men, and then you won't see them become young men for 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. And when they do come back, they're they're filled with great memories of practice.
Yeah.
And that's what they hold on to. And so, and that's what we hold on to as coaches, because we had, we're probably in the game because someone kind of did something to the game that forced us to stay in it.
Right. And it's that, I don't know, it's that proverb about planting a tree, you never see the tree you plant, something like,
No,
it's
we
like,
totally see it though.
yeah, but we get to see it, but it's like, you're never going to see that, redwood become a redwood, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't plant the seed kind of thing. And that's, as a teacher or coach, that's why I do it. I mean, I've had, Williams is a great school too. My son's looking at a bunch of those schools out east.
Okay. Is he going to play?
I don't know if that's a great question. He can shoot.
Okay.
So he can shoot and he's 6 foot. So, and he's a coach's kid, but he can he can legit shoot. So, he's looking, I think Middlebury's on his list, and, he's got like Colby, like the little Ivies. I went to Dartmouth. So, my brother went to Dartmouth. So we know the East Coast pretty well. We'll see. I mean, he's smart. He's a smart kid. So, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't reached out to those coaches yet. That's on my list to do for sure.
Okay. Well, hopefully they're listening.
Yeah, that's true. He took a video class down at Pace University down by the and this summer. And I said, "Do you want to go to school in New York?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know, Dad. A little bit big for me." But he was fun because him and his cousin did it, and they were able to run around and jump on the subway and just be kids. Do you have any superstitions?
Before the game, I'm the last one to leave the locker room. I shut the lights off and lock the door. And so my best friend's visiting, and he's hanging out in the room, and I'm waiting for him to get upstairs. This is before the first playoff game. And he's just like, "Yeah, I'll meet you up there." I was like, "No, you got to get out of here. I got to lock up." And he's looking. I was like, "What?" And he's looking at me like I'm a madman. But I was like, "No, you're gonna ruin. We're gonna lose in the first round because of you." But
yeah, superstitions aren't bad. I'm always the last one on the bus. Like, I'm the last one to get on the bus. Like,
and I know,
people freak out if they think players will freak out. People like, no. It's like, because they know, it's like, I'm the last one to get on. Just it's like a closure thing.
I know it's irrational, but it works.
No, but it's ritual. It's ritual. The great ones have rituals. If you could only run one offense and one defense for an entire game, what would you do?
One offense, there's this beautiful horn set that I think takes away every type of defense. If you're playing pack, or if you're denying, if you're super aggressive, there's this horn set I think that will kill all those types of.
Okay, you're gonna send that to me.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay. You're gonna send that to me. All right.
And then I'm thinking about playing in our gym, and we're just we're gonna play man to man, half court, and it's gonna be very difficult for anybody to score. So
okay,
transition,
yep.
If transition defense is playing well,
it is. If you could change one thing about basketball, what would you change?
I would require every coach to attend some type of clinic, but therefore the clinic itself would have to be approved by a governing body. You just can't go in and Coach X just can't give the same lecture that he's given 1,000 times. It has to be legitimate. And then the other thing I would do, I'd force every coach to, not force, that's a bad word, but to film games. Because I don't know how coaches coach when they don't film, because the conversation.
You're telling me people in your league don't film?
I'd say about 80% don't. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna give something for the radio listeners. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
That's dead silence, because I can't believe that. Literally, I can't even imagine how many games I have taped or seen in 30 years. I mean, so one of our big rivals, I bet I had every one of their games but 2 this year.
Sure, you have to, right? Yeah, no,
right.
I don't. It's mind-boggling for me. It's probably why I'm so successful, because other guys don't do it. So therefore, it gives us a 20-point lead before we're starting the game.
Well, and it's also I mean, it might even be easier to scout in some respects just to get around a little bit. Jump on the. I mean, yeah. I mean, you have bad weather too, but holy cow, yeah. I mean,
I have great assistants,
well,
and
that's touche. I have not been out to scout me for a long time, but it's and the way they do analytics now. I'm a stats teacher too. The way they do analytics, it's like, oh my god, I need the analytics.
Yeah, no, and especially with new guys, Crossover does a fantastic job for us, and you're able to show a guy's shooting chart, and when he's 0 for 12 from that left wing, like
Right.
you
might not want to shoot from the left wing. Yeah, we use Huddle. We left Crossover.
Yeah.
We went to Huddle.
Yep. Great.
But it's great. Yeah, I mean, so this is again telling how old I am. I remember two VHS tapes and 2 remotes and play record. Like that was like.
Sure.
But what I'm also telling the young coaches, if you're listening, it's not only the tape, it's the watching of the tape. I mean, I watch a third of the tape I used to because I don't need to anymore. I can do it faster because I've watched tens of thousands of hours of high school games. I kind of know what I need to see. But when you're starting out, it's you need that quantity to kind of get good at it. Let's do. All right, so you're up 3 with 7 seconds to go. Both teams are in the bonus. Okay, and you got the ball. What are you going to do?
I'm up 3.
Yeah, you're up 3 with 7 seconds goes. Both teams in the bonus. They have the ball in the half court.
So I'm supposed to foul, right?
That's a great question. Do you foul?
Right.
That's the question.
So last year in the state semifinal, we have the exact same situation. They're bringing the ball up, and we trap at 3/4 on their foul line as they're bringing the ball up.
Okay.
And they trap their best shooter, and it goes to their center, and he missed the 3. But I'm on the sideline yelling foul.
Right.
And so there's this idea, like, yes, as a coach and sitting, on my chair, I was like, I think you have to foul. But then during the game, can the guys not foul the shooter? It's something as a, if we can go back in our playing days, would we be able to do it? And it's very difficult.
Right. And here's my issue with this. Here's my teachable thing with this. If you want to do that, that's why I asked this question of some coaches, is if you want to do that, then you better practice it. Like
100%, right.
That's the issue, is I think a lot of coaches try to do that and they've done zero practicing on it. Well, then you can't be mad that they're going to follow the shooter because you haven't practiced them. You haven't explained to them that don't do this. Like,
right.
And then you can make fun of it. I've done that in practice, and we've done it, and they've actually followed the shooter, and I'll I'll make fun of it, and they'll all laugh and stuff. But then I'll go, timeout. It's funny now because of what I did, but it's not going to be funny if we lose the game, right? And you're going to feel really bad, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So you want to imprint it on them to, okay, this is what we want to do, and here's how we want to foul, and here's how we don't want to foul.
Well, I know Steve Finnemore did you follow him on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Steve did a follow-up 3 a couple of years ago. He's documenting all the different teams that did not. Yeah, and I understand the stats and the data, but I've seen games where coaches have followed up 3, and they fouled the shooter, they lost the rebound. So of course it all plays out. But.
And it also depends on your team a little bit. If you've got some bigs and you feel like you're going to get the rebound if he misses it. Or maybe your guys don't buy you. People know their team is better than that. So do you? Are there coaching clinics? Are there things in the city that you can go to, or do you have to leave the city?
Well, I think I've been all the way out to the Vegas clinic, and then Manhattan College used to have the clinics, the NL clinics, a few years ago. Yeah, but what I found out is, when you go to the clinics, you see all this stuff, but you really have to focus on your team. And if you go into the clinic knowing like your team's 5 biggest weaknesses, you'll come out with better answers than if you go in there and you spend 12 hours at a clinic, and then you start thinking about how you're going to put all those things onto your team, it doesn't work that way. So it's
It
a little
doesn't.
bit reverse engineering.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a great way to explain it for people that do it. And it's like what I refer to it as I'm going to find, I know my team's strengths and weaknesses, and I'm going to the clinic. When I went to the Coaches Association one at the Final Four, all I'm looking for is one or two golden nuggets. I call them golden nuggets. One or two little things like, ooh, Bayline said something I could, like a shooting drill that kind of, for a kid, oh, that's a good one for us to set a bar and can kids shoot threes or can't. It was great. It was a golden nugget. I'm going to try it, blah, blah, blah. But you can't, if you go there and you try to do everything that everyone says, they're all right, probably, because it all is working for them. But you can't do that with your team.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny one years ago is Calipari came in. And yeah, he's just like, you just drive baseline and you throw the ball in front of the rim and your big guy will dunk it.
Right.
And everybody started laughing because there was only one guy in the audience who had somebody who could dunk it.
Who could dunk it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's typical. All right. We're going to do two more things, and then we'll circle back around. I want to hear about your book. So this is my leave it, change it, or replace it. Okay.
Okay.
So you have to leave it. You can leave it alone. You can change it, or you can replace it. First one is a shot clock in high school.
We have a 35-second shot clock.
Okay.
And we'll leave it.
Okay. So we don't. So explain to me why you want to leave it.
You don't have a shot clock.
We do not.
Okay, so right now, I think we'll create a mandatorium that every high school, boys and girls in all 50 states, need a high school shot clock.
Okay.
And the reason why I think it's just even if they don't play on the next level, the idea of stalling. Do you come across that?
No, not really.
Okay, good. Because I just hear horror stories of teams stalling. But
do you think that would happen in New York, in the city? People would stall?
No, it's the game's too fast.
Right.
There's no kid that can hold the ball. Yeah, I want to
right.
And we didn't have a shot clock for my first 8 years of coaching.
And how is it run? Is it run effectively? And are the officials able to do a good job with it?
Yes, because there's very rarely a shot clock violation.
Because the ball goes up before it's a problem. Okay, that's valid. So you don't really need one, to be honest with you, probably. So you'd leave it. Okay.
If one wasn't, I mean, I would. If you can experiment and you didn't have one for a game, I'm sure people wouldn't even notice because it's not an issue, right?
Okay. Halves versus court. Let's say halves, because we play halves.
Okay.
Would you? What do you
16,
play?
You play 16. We play quarters.
Okay, so we'll do you'll do yours. Quarters. Leave it, change it, or replace it. We play what do we play? 18-minute halves.
18-minute halves. Oh. And what's bonus and double bonus?
Same.
I'm just kidding. Oh. Okay. I enjoy quarters. So I'll leave it.
You leave it. Yep. I miss quarters a little bit. I miss the teaching in between. What about jump ball?
To start the game in overtimes?
Yep.
Or just possession?
No, not the possession. The actual jump ball where they throw it up in the air.
Oh my
Begin the game in overtime.
You have to leave it. It's iconic. You want to? Yeah.
I'm on the replace it. Get rid of it. Give the home team the ball because they're so bad at tossing it because they don't practice it.
The refs.
Refs.
Oh no! I mean, for a while we just had this opening play where we get a layup or a dunk, and I just I loved it. You just screen the back guy and get a back screen and an alley oop.
Okay, so what do you think of the? So let's assume that the 3-point shot. I'll just say 3-point shot. I'll leave it as that. Leave it, change it, or replace it.
Leave it.
Okay. Do you think it's the right distance?
Yes. We didn't. Our guys don't shoot well enough. I mean, I had 2 guys in double digit made threes this year.
Okay.
It's not a lot.
No,
playing 30.
and my issue is the court. The 3-point line's fine. My issue is the court's not wide enough anymore for kids.
Right.
It's probably not long enough either at the high school level because the bodies are getting so big.
True.
But that won't help you guys because they can't build the gyms any bigger in New York.
You could barely fit your sneakers in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do what I refer to as rapid fire. Okay. Rapid fire is I'm going to ask one question. You're giving me one answer.
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first one is your favorite brand of basketball.
The Rock.
Okay. Ooh, there you go. Rock. My son likes Rock. One word to describe your ideal player.
Unselfish.
One sporting event. You go on one sporting event in the world. What would you go to?
The FIBA championship in China.
Wow. No one said that. Why?
Oh, I can't wait till the summer. I think it's going to be fabulous.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list to go there someday too. Favorite pregame meal?
An espresso.
Okay. First of all, you live in New York City. Oh my God, there's a good restaurant around every block, isn't there?
Sure. But I have an espresso maker in my room. So.
Okay. One thing you do to relax.
Read.
Okay. One coaching technique that you consider important.
What do you mean by technique? Sorry, it's not rapid fire.
It's kind of open-ended.
Yeah. Okay. So I think just writing the agenda on the whiteboard. I know it's not a good answer, but
no, that's okay. Mine is saying the important thing coming out of a timeout. That's my important technique. That what I really want them to hear is the last thing I say.
And sometimes I'll ask them to repeat that during the timeout.
Ooh, that's a really good thing too. I like that. Best basketball player you've seen in person.
Jordan.
Best player of all time.
Jordan.
Yep.
Or Bill Russell, but I didn't see Bill Russell.
Okay. Your favorite drill, you already said that. One thing that helped you become a better coach.
Film.
Best game you've seen in person.
At any level?
Any level.
Okay. Oh. Too many to say. I'm sorry. I don't have a top one.
That's okay. One favorite quote or saying.
That the heart is half a prophet.
Okay, explain that.
Sure. So that sometimes we make decisions with our heart, but it could be wrong 50% of the time. So we do have to take some time and think about things. So if the mind's the other half, we got to kind of work with both.
Work with both. I love that. One word to describe your coaching style.
Intense.
Okay. Top bench player of all time.
For my team or in
whatever. If it's your team, it can be anything.
It's Bill Walton on the '86 Celtics.
Okay. God. Best basketball coach of all time.
I want to say Popovich.
Ooh, I like that too. I like Stevens. He's a really good coach. One book you'd recommend. Can be more than one, but most,
basketball book or just in general?
Any book.
Okay, so I think I just read this, Goodbye Columbus by Philip Roth, and I love Herman Melville's Moby Dick.
Okay. One thing you would tell a young coach.
Don't let the losses eat you up, but force the losses to make you a better coach.
Yeah, the scars are good. Yeah, I've got stories with that. Okay, let's dive into your book. So tell me about your book. So what made you decide to write a book?
So, I think the story started in 2015. I was contacted by a writer at the New York Times, Michael Powell, and he just kind of wanted to get my input on the state of New York City basketball. I had written a blog post for Gotham Hoops, and he read it, and he just wanted to, understand why isn't New York City producing the All Stars and the Hall of Famers that once upon a time that was happening. And we talked about there's 1,000 reasons why, and then he asked about my team and coaching, and so he followed me through the whole season. And then in 2015, the Times published an article about me and the team, and they did a fabulous job. But from that article, an agent called me and asked me if I wanted to write my own story, and of course, who's going to say no?
Right.
And so from there, kind of worked on a proposal. We were able to sell it to Doubleday, and there I worked very closely with an editor, and we were able to publish Pounding the Rock, and it came out this March.
Okay, and so now, so it's not self-published. So this is impressive. That's part of living in New York City. There's always somebody, right?
You run into somebody. Someone reads the Times, and they think you can write.
So tell me what Pounding the Rock's about then, other than just your team.
Yeah, well, it's definitely bigger than basketball, right? It is just about maybe just it's a coach's journey, but it's also I would say a small treatise on education, what it means to live in this country, and also this idea that it's as the country changes, as the country feels very divided at the moment. Sometimes basketball does bring everybody together, but it's also this I would say this journey between, as coaches, you get to see these young men transform in front of you. And so I just used the 2016 season as a narrative to kind of push that story forward.
Wow. And how'd you do that season?
If I tell you now, it'll ruin the ending of the book.
Okay, that's fair. That's legit. So that was not a setup. That was not a setup. A setup. I've not read it yet. I'm gonna read it, but I've not read it yet. So that was not a setup, but that's good. That's the right answer, Coach. Read the book. All right. So where can people get the book? Obviously on Amazon, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Amazon, local bookstores, Barnes and Nobles. It's available.
Okay. Yep. And is it in paperback yet, or is it only in hardcover?
No, the hardcover just came out in March. The paperback comes out next year.
Yep. And have you had to do a book tour?
No, we just kind of, the season ended about a month ago, and the book came out in the middle of the playoffs. So it's actually been pretty hectic. I've had obviously we're doing a couple of interviews, and I thank you so much for having me on.
No, this is great.
Yeah. And hopefully we get a couple of book tours scheduled for the summer.
And will you go around the country? Will you just stay on the East Coast? What will happen with that? That intrigues me. That's very interesting.
Yeah. No, if a bookstore in San Francisco wants me to speak, I'll be there. If they want me to speak in Vancouver. And the cool part of the book, it just got released in the UK on Monday. So
And are you able? Okay, so this is the stats teacher in me. Are you able to watch the statistics behind it and who's buying it and where they're buying it and that kind of stuff?
It's probably I haven't, and
okay.
I've been focused on, I think, just maybe working on maybe my second book or my third book right now. So I'm continuing to write.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that what you do? What do you do are you a teacher, or are you just like writing?
Yeah. I'm a history teacher.
Okay.
And I definitely like to enjoy writing. And so this is combined. It was easy to write in some sense, but it was very, very hard at other times because, the characters and the city changes, but you also want to make sure that you get it right.
Right.
And,
well, I have a writer friend who said his house was, when he started writing his book, his house was never so clean as when he was writing his book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He'd get like a block, and then he'd go clean. It's like,
yeah. My wife would probably say the opposite.
She'd say it was the other way. All right. Well, we'll put. Coach is gonna email me all his book stuff, his recommendations, all that stuff, and all his contact information. I will put it in our show notes. So anybody that's listening to this can just go down below. They can find the book. They can find his contact if they want to get a hold of him. Any of that kind of stuff. I appreciate it. How is it in New York today? Is it nice?
I'm actually in South Carolina. I'm visiting my father-in-law.
Oh, okay.
And so it's an 85-degree day.
No, it's pretty nice. Hey, so you know, I'm in Wisconsin, so the sun's actually out today. So when the sun's out, we're all happy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's always happy. Well, I appreciate taking the time, Coach, and we'll talk again. Thank you.
All right, Steve. Be well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, Coach, hope you like that video. If you're looking for more videos just like that, check out teachhoops.com up above or down below in the show notes. I do not think you'll be disappointed. One-on-one calls, office hours, you name it, it's there for you. Learn from me. Let me help you become a better coach.